so much for joining me on the Road to Community Reporter. So this is an amazing privilege. So I've been following all the stuff that you've been doing pretty much ever since I've been involved in the community. So I'm just stoked to have you on the show, which is obviously going to be on YouTube. It's also going to be on podcast and stuff for those people listening. Do you want to just, for those people who don't know you, Jen, do you want to just give people a bit of an intro into who you are and what you do?
Yes, well, first of all, thank you for having me along, Sarah. It's my pleasure to talk to you today. So my name is Jen Stirrup, and I love all things data and artificial intelligence. It's just find it all super exciting, and that's why I'm particularly excited to be going to Ignite this year as a speaker, and also I'll be going to sessions as well. So I'm very lucky, really.
Oh, that is amazing. And it's really interesting because some of my other guests are based in my area of business applications, and the fact that your area is data, obviously there's a lot of crossover now in terms of the technology, which is something that we can chat about in a bit. But I love that you're offering this different perspective for people.
Thank you. Yeah, the data is, for me, is everything, because if you don't have data, you don't have any of these other systems. And I know we talk about data-driven insights, and I think that's important, but it's also insight-driven as well. So if you are that sort of business subject matter expert in your organisation, I think Ignite in particular is a real opportunity to learn more about how you can get more involved in data in that space.
Brilliant. Yeah, because a lot of people find it intimidating with data and where to start. So it will be interesting to hear about. So we can start out really high level, and then we'll drill into some of the stuff you say, because I know that you're going to say some awesome stuff. So if you was to just start out with what your 3 top tips for people who are attending, so especially focusing on for those people who haven't, really been to this kind of scale of conference before.
Well, first of all, I would say carve out time for yourself for food and drink. I know that sounds silly, but it's very easy to get grabs into all sorts of things and forget to eat, particularly if you've been traveling. I would also suggest you take some protein bars, your own food, in case you don't like what's on offer. Sometimes it's a bit hit and miss, I think, I have to be honest. And I think if you take protein bars or just snacks, that's a good thing. And just carry them in your bag, just in case you get hungry. I get hungry sometimes.
Oh my God, me too. Like food, I'm so happy you started with food, because food is so important. And you're so right, especially like you forget, because you're going to almost, it's not like you pay for these tickets, right? And you want to cram in so much networking, so much of the actual content. You can forget to eat, because they're obviously going to be there at scheduled times. Like they're going to put the food in at scheduled times and stuff. And so I love this. This is so important. It doesn't sound stupid at all, because I think this is like number 1.
Yeah, it's just that you have to look after yourself, because it's so busy. The week will fly in. I really think it will, and you don't always get to do the things you want to do and people you want to see. So what I tend to do is I tend to say to people, I will be at one of the booths, say the Microsoft booth, between this time and that time at a given point during the week. And I try and make sure I've got a meeting point so I can line up the people I want to talk to. The reason I do that is because people I want to talk to, if they don't know one another, it's a good opportunity to connect them as well. And I like being able to do that. I think also I tend to, when I go to sessions, I do try and recap the end of the session with just a few bullet points of your takeaways, in case you get information overload, particularly if there's a lot of new terms or the session's in English and English is your second language. Just take a few moments when people are leaving just to write out 3 main points from the session, because when you look back in your notes, it will help you to remember everything that you learned during the sessions, because it's very easy to get overloaded and not remember things. So I guess that's my 3 top tips.
Those are amazing.
Thank you. Food, look after yourself, and take extra notes. Just take the time to do that.
That's amazing. I really like that whole approach of, I'm going to be at this booth at this time. I don't know if you know Manuela. She used to work at Virgin Atlantic. She's at Microsoft now. She's amazing. And she did Microsoft Business Application Summit. She said, she put a tweet out there to say, hey, if anyone's like a bit of an introvert like I am, if anyone's like really nervous, if you've never been to a conference before, I'm going to be here at this time, come and drop by. And that's what it reminded me of when you said that. And I thought that was lovely. I mean, she's such a nice person. I'll tag her in the video and stuff and in the podcast, just so people can go and follow her, because she's amazing. But that's what that reminded me of, because I think that's awesome, is that you're kind of appealing to people without being so scheduled. Because I know that, you know, it's really easy to be like, right, book a time, and if you're not booked in my calendar, then I'm not even talking to you. Which sounds a little bit like, you know, horrible, but you know, sometimes it's really hard when you've got such a busy schedule. But I really liked what you said actually on the side of that, and actually said you can actually meet other people. So it's not just about people meeting you, it's about actually those people who come and say, hey, but actually then connect to the people. Because I think I've found so many valuable kind of relationships and friendships even from people doing that for me. And that's been amazing. So I love that. That was a little bit of a hidden tip there, I think. Obviously the food is still massively important. I still want to really plug the food. And do you know that 3-point thing? I've never done that, and I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to take that as a personal tip for any conference, because you're so excited at these events that you're right, it's information overload. But also, if you want to catch the speaker at the end, sometimes it's so easy to just put your stuff in the bag and run up there, when it's, you know, the speaker's going to be knackered because they've just spoken for an hour. They're going to be like probably packing up because the other speaker's going to be kicking them off the stage. So, you know, again, you're kind of then left there with then other people gathering behind you, and then you've forgotten all the content, the key content and takeaways of the session. So I think that take a moment, take a breath, let everyone leave, do those 3 bullet points, and then also it actually gives you a really cool thing to go ahead and like tweet out if you want to. Like, so, you know, if people say, for example, we're both at the event, you attend one session, I attend another, you can go ahead and tweet that I've not attended it, but I've got some value out of it. I've actually got the kind of more like inferred value from you.
True, that's true. It's a good point, actually. And if people aren't on Twitter or social media, I recommend that they get on it. Or if they have got an account that they've stopped using, go and dig it out again, because you'll see there's lots of interactions between speakers and attendees on there, and it's all unmonitored, so you get what people are really thinking, and you might see nuggets that will be useful for you. So I really recommend get out those old social media accounts if you've not been using them, and join in the fun.
Yeah. Oh wow. I 100% plug that. Like, because the thing is with Twitter is that you're right. Is it's kind of unfiltered. It's unaffiliated to kind of like companies and stuff. Obviously, unless you follow them and etc. etc. But again, you can create your feed and create your feed based on what you want. Even if you just use it for Ignite, if you really want to, so that you can go ahead and follow people. Maybe do some research on the speakers that you're going to then see, and then you can follow the speakers. I definitely think that it's definitely one of the. And it's funny actually talking about that, because again, business applications and your data, and obviously there's a lot more other groups that we're in, but I have actually found that because I follow a range of different groups and different kind of segments of Microsoft, and they're all on Twitter.
Yes, true. That's very true. I think it's important to do that, and sometimes it's a good way of taking notes. So I might tweet something and I'll go back and think later, what did I do? It's a good way of connecting. Another valuable way of connecting is to install the LinkedIn app. So if you install that app, there's the small scan code, there's a QR code right at the top. You've probably seen it, Sarah, but you'd be amazed the number of people that have not seen that. So when you meet someone, if you don't have a business card, just have the app and scan each other's codes and stay in touch. I've been doing that so much, because otherwise I get a ton of business cards and I think, I don't remember what I was speaking to that person about, and I don't remember who they are, because I'm not very good with names and faces, I have to say.
No, me neither. I feel really bad about that, because I'm more of an association person. So like if someone says something or does something specific, or even like if they have to be wearing something really bright or something like that, then it will like dig in a bit. But it's that association thing. So you know, an actual action that they do. Oh, remember that person who did X? It's never normally, hey, remember Bob. And it'll be like, I know like 10 Bobs, and it's like, or Sarah's, you know, especially Sarah's like such a generic name. So I get so jealous of people's names, like just as an offshoot. So unless you've got a really nice name or something, then like it's done. Like you need to like do a dance or something for me to remember you, unless you do something. So I resonate with you. You leave the business cards in your hotel. They get lost. You know, and also like, let's face it, you're knackered when you come home. Are you really going to take your business cards out your purse or out your bag and put them somewhere safe and then put them in your in your like address book, if people still have those, like, or obviously your contact, or a CRM system or a Dynamics 365 system. You're not going to do that. So I think that's the LinkedIn stuff's amazing. And actually, some people might be thinking, hey, but I'm not going to remember who I've connected to. You actually get an email. So you get an email with who you've connected to once you've done that, which is actually a really good point, because when I first started using it, I'd be like, damn, who did I do this to? Like the last 3 people at this event. And then I realized that I got 3 emails of thanks for connecting to X.
Yes, that's a really nice thing. It means you can follow up as well, just to sort of get to know people. And I think a key point is about bias. I think it's very easy to for people maybe to dismiss other delegates. So I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a lady a bit older than me, and we just got chatting at the water cooler, and asked how she found the conference, and it turned out she was a very senior executive in a very well-known organisation. And I think everyone else was just walking past us. And I thought, actually, you know, by connecting by people with different age groups and different backgrounds, that person could be the next person that might hire you, for example, or recommend you if you were looking to join that organisation. And I think it's something I do see. People maybe sometimes just maybe not thinking about, well, actually, when I network, who am I networking with? Is it someone who's like me? Or am I thinking about my next career move, or a partner organisation that might help me, or help my company that I'm with already? So there's different ways of looking at networking, and maybe people you would choose as your friends might not be the people you choose as your business contacts.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that is such an amazing point as well, because it's those unlikely connections that you're going to have. It's interesting, take that water cooler kind of example, right? Because some people find it really hard to make the first contact, and you know that awkward look that you get when you make eye contact at someone and you want to talk, they want to talk, but you're too scared to talk, or you don't really know what words can fall out of your mouth to not sound, you know, in your head, again, you don't sound stupid, but we think we're going to sound stupid, or we think they're not going to like us, or, you know, we think that they're just going to make an excuse and leave, and we don't want to be rejected. How would you approach those scenarios? How do you manage that internal dialogue in your head when you're going to be going up to someone like this lady at the water cooler?
Yeah, I just tend to ask people how they found the conference, what's your favourite session so far. I try and keep it neutral. And I would just say, who's been your favourite speaker so far, that kind of thing. What topic you hear from, what you're hoping to get from the conference. I also have to look at it the other way. Sometimes as a speaker, I do get tired, you know, I'm in a different time zone, and people will sometimes come up and chat, and I do feel a bit drained. So sometimes I do have to say, I'm sorry, I'm on my way to another session, but it's lovely to speak. Please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll email you, and we'll keep in touch. And I find that approach tends to work for me better. Sometimes I think you just can get very tired at these events. Even just being an attendee and just attending loads of sessions can actually be really draining as well, because there's so much to learn and so many people as well. And I'm quite introverted, so I find people and noise quite draining, but other people get very energized by it, but I'm not like that. I would recommend people take the time to at least connect with at least one person every day that you've never met before, and just reach out, be that person that you would want someone else to be for you. It's a big conference. I do find sometimes people want to be mentors, and they want to be part of helping the next generation of leaders to become more experienced. So don't be afraid to reach out to people that are completely different parts of the world from you, or not your age, or something maybe a bit unusual about them that you wouldn't find in your normal everyday environment.
That's actually really good advice, because I find that those like little nuggets of information you get actually make and drive the conversation, because you're like, wow, I didn't know that. Like whenever I've been presented with that kind of data information, whenever I've been presented by that kind of stuff, I'm always like, oh my, like, tell me more. I want to know more than that. That's like something I've never even thought possible or didn't even know. Because the thing is, like, and it kind of goes back to your previous point actually about like career moves and stuff, is that the idea, the thing is, we do not have the concept of all the jobs in the world. Like, there's jobs that are possible that we actually have no idea that exist right now, and you don't know that they exist until you start having conversations with people that are in that area or that do those jobs, you know. And I think that I really like that advice, and I specifically liked the whole, like, when you're tired, because I'm with you. Like, sometimes it can be draining, especially if you're a speaker, that a lot of your energy, and for those people who haven't done any conference speaking or speaking, I definitely recommend it. But the idea, because I think, you know, anyone can build themselves up to do that kind of stuff, and I think it's wonderful and it's great from a confidence perspective. But generally, for those people who haven't, it's very draining because all of your energy goes up to the lead up of your talk, as in you do not relax until you've done it. Because ultimately you're holding all of that information in your head, you're obviously gearing up for it, and a lot of speakers have more than one session at these conferences, so they're often, you know, trying to get value for themselves by attending sessions, but then they've also got their own sessions. So then when someone comes up to them and they really want to have this kind of meaningful conversation, which is obviously very relevant and perfectly fine, but you're drained, it's much better, I think, to be honest, like you said, rather than have a little bit of a crappy conversation with them, because then that's what they're going to remember you for. They're going to be like, oh, Sarah didn't really pay much attention to me, or Sarah didn't really seem engaged when she was chatting to me. And instead, you know, like you said, you know, you're just really, really tired. Please apologize and just say connect, or, you know, obviously meet up or set a time for the next day, and you can go ahead and do that. So I think that that's actually really important, because then you're not gonna, like, kind of exhaust yourself.
I agree. And some other advice that I'm thinking about, if you are speaking or holding a podcast or doing an unconference, I would suggest, obviously you'll have practiced, don't turn up and have your demos not working. That
Oh my gosh, yeah.
just
Please practice, people.
Exactly. What I do is I pre-record everything in advance. And the reason I do that is in case the Wi-Fi is not working or my machine is broken, and I tend to do that, and I put it in YouTube just before my session, just in case something goes wrong.
Nice.
Yeah, I've also think it's important as a speaker to, sounds daft, but repeat questions if you get questions during the session. I think also, if I'm speaking, I'm not there as a Microsoft speaker, I don't work for Microsoft. I do try and weave some real life examples in there, so I think people can find those more meaningful. So that's probably just some advice. And as a speaker, just book yourself out before and after your session, so you can get some you time, so you're in a good place. And then afterwards, because you will find people will want to talk to you, and that's nice. I like that interaction. I personally prefer smaller groups or one-to-one interactions, and sometimes you only get 15 minutes between you and the next speaker on stage. So the next speaker is there and they're ready to go.
Yep.
And they kind of want me to leave.
Well, they want to make sure their tech works, right? Because you're so nervous. They probably not had the opportunity to plug into the HDMI port or something and check it works. So they're anxious to make sure that their laptop is working.
I agree, and I do try to be kind to the next speaker afterwards. So I am trying to get out of the room as well. And I do have to say to people, well, why don't we walk and talk?
Yeah.
So if you see speakers doing that, it's because they're mindful of the next person coming after them. Again, LinkedIn app again, say, look, I'm sorry we didn't get to speak. I'm sorry you have to shoot off to another session. Here's the connection. People find you, and I always learn things from the delegates, the attendees as well, because they come and they with all sorts of different questions and different backgrounds, and their expertise sometimes get absolutely phenomenal. And I think, why they're not speaking? And sometimes it's just their thing, and that's fine.
Yeah, and you're right, it is fine. Some people are just not, they don't want to do that, right? And that's perfectly fine, but that's such an important point. Like, I've been amazed at the knowledge of people just when they come up to you after the end of the session, or even again just another attendee to an attendee, and you're like, wow, oh my gosh, like, why are you not presenting all of this amazing stuff in your brain right now? So you mentioned, so tell me, just to kind of like close up, it's been amazing chatting to you, Jen, and all of your experience and some amazing tips. What sessions are you doing at Ignite this year?
I'm doing an unconference, and that's going to be on diversity and inclusion for newbies and doers. Brilliant. I think sometimes a conversation about diversity can be quite theoretical, And often I hear, particularly men with their daughters, will say to me, "But what can I do to make things better?" And I thought, well, I believe diversity is for everyone. So I thought I want to try and take the approach of having a diverse audience. And really, in my mind, I've got that the gentleman in the workplace who wants to understand better how to be more appreciative of diversity and do things that are more inclusive, and recognizing that they have a certain privilege and how they can use that privilege to do better for others, which is a really kind thing. And also, I'm thinking about fathers, particularly ones that have got daughters, and who really want to try and encourage their daughters to do better in STEM subjects. And what can they do? The second thing I'm doing is a podcast, which is around AI and ethics. I think I'm going to be exploring that in some detail. I think there's so many questions, but I think sometimes if people are talking about ethics, that doesn't mean that they're always right. And if their behaviour doesn't match up either to the ethics, then I think that's a difficult topic. But I'm interested in really how we can be more practical around our ethics, particularly when it comes to AI. Because it's all very well talking about it, but it has to be translated at some point into our lives.
Yeah.
So that's important. So I'm
Brilliant.
looking forward to both of those.
Those are amazing. And when this actually airs, the on YouTube and as a podcast, the session catalog will be out. So I'll make sure that I put the time and date for both those sessions for those people watching and listening as well. And also just on the back of that, make sure that you do check out the session builder when it's out. I think it's landing early October. So you know, if you're watching this and listen to it and you've not, definitely finish. We got to close up soon and go ahead and open that and check it out. So definitely looking forward to those sessions, Jen, and thank you so much for your time. Do you want to just share anything that you're working on, or anything that you want to tell the listeners and the watchers at the moment?
Just to say, please, if you can, get involved in your community. It's changed my life for the better, and I've met loads of people like Sarah I wouldn't have met otherwise. So thank you for having me along, and I think I'll always treasure being part of the community, and I think I would encourage you just to get stuck in.
Definitely, that's an amazing takeaway, and I 100% resonate with that. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Jen, and have an awesome day.
Thank you. You too, Sarah. Thank you.